Alright guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I want to give you a 3-year update to owning the Toyota 4Runner. Alright, so here is the instrumental cluster, and I want to show you how many miles I have so far on this car, and I'm roughly at about 18,000 miles. And I'm averaging about 15.5 miles per gallon based on this lift and the tires that is on this car. I was at 18 to 19, but with this new setup, it had dropped down to around 15.5. So I really don't do much with my 4Runner in terms of maintenance. I do the usual tire rotation per year, and I've actually had Toyota done it previously, but I had to do it the first time this year since they only do it the first 2 years. So this time around I did the tire rotations, and I've also did the oil change, and I use all OEM oil filters, and I have them linked down below just in case you decide to do your own oil filter change. But other than that, what I do is just the typical, I inspect the brakes, make sure the tires look good, top off any fluids that are low. Okay, and as you can see, the car is white and the paint is holding up pretty well after 3 years. I do want to note that I park mostly inside my garage or in the garage at work. So the car is mostly parked indoors. It does see some outside if I'm out traveling or commuting, but for the most part, it is parked inside. As for the external fascia, the valence and the grille all seems to be holding up fine. I don't see any sign of wear. I do want to note that the Toyota grille is slightly coming off on one end because I think when I had it pushed on, I just didn't align it straight or even enough right in the dead center. So one side of it seems like the double-sided tape is not holding on as well as it should. But I've seen that there for, well, it's been like that for about a year now, and it's still holding on. So I'm going to leave it there until something happens. But for now, I think it'll hold, and if it gets any worse, I may have to take it apart and put in the double tape or reline it with new double tape to make sure it holds. One thing you should consider is the factory side runners. I had purchased my car and it didn't come with any, so I found some used on Craigslist for around 150, so I had purchased them and had them installed. Personally, I just think they look cleaner. It looks like it matches the car and it was made with the car, so I like the factory side runners. For the top rack, I did think about, I've thought about putting a rack up there, but I just haven't gotten around to it because with a rack up there, I would have no clearance, and it would give me problems going and parking at work and also parking in my garage, and it would just be more than a hassle of trying to mount it and unmount it when I need it. So I just haven't got a rack for this vehicle just yet. For the interior, the cloth is still good, and I chose the cloth option because I'm just not a big fan of leather or the soft tech that Toyota offers. But I do want to point out that after getting in and out of the car multiple times throughout the past 3 years, it has created a bit of a stain on the cloth, and I haven't tried to remove it, but I'm sure I would be able to remove those stains. I mean, if you've ran into the same issue and you have a solution to that, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and maybe I can give that a try and see if it'll work for my my front seat. Anyhow, electrical is all still working. Third row seat is not the best, but suitable for kids. I've had adults under 5 feet in the back for 3 to 4 hours, and they seem fine. Now for the top 3 things I think you should consider for your interior. Those 3 things include, first, the all-weather floor mats, and I think Toyota made them pretty well, and they fit in the car pretty well. And I actually have a set in my car, and they are very easy to take in and take out and to clean. So that's one of my recommendations. The other thing is the back cargo cover. So if you're not having that third row up, if it's down and you have some goodies back there, I think it's a good idea to get the Toyota back cargo cover just to make sure your stuff is not seen by others. And that's the cargo net. I had purchased a cargo net for this vehicle, and it just makes it that much easier when you have things in the back that can be rolled around. So with the net, it just ensures that all your stuff is in one place inside the net. All right, so for the suspension, I did say this in the previous video, but this suspension is actually stiffer than the factory setup. And actually the fronts are the stock spring, but with it being compressed, it does offer a bit more stiffness. But the nosedive that I get when I'm braking hard is still there, so the front will actually dip down a bit, which I kind of don't like. I would prefer to have stiffer springs all the way around so that you don't get that dive. And secondly, with the stiffer springs, your nose wouldn't go up high if you have heavy load in the back, or at least it wouldn't go up as high as it does now. But so far they are working great. The suspension is perfectly fine, and the height is actually where I like it, where the front is about an inch lower than the back. So the stance, I think it's perfect. Vibration from the wheels, I still get vibrations at around 60 to 65 miles per hour, and primarily in the front, because when I turn four-wheel drive on, then that actually goes away, but when I turn it off, then I can feel it again around that 60 to 65 miles per hour range. I did alignment and tire balancing in the past. I've done tire balancing twice. I'm sure it probably needs it again. I just haven't gotten around to it again, but so far, I mean, it's still driving straight. I'm not swaying to one side or the other. It's just that vibration that's still there. All the aftermarket parts that were installed, the control arms, the inserts, the rear springs, they are all doing well. They are doing what they're supposed to do. At least I haven't had any issues with them yet. The only thing I didn't do was lower the front differential by 1 inch, which was recommended, but I've got mixed reviews on that, so I wasn't sure if I should or should not do it. So far, it's been driving fine, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. Four-wheel drive works great. I've used that in the snow. I don't have any complaints with that. The tires and the wheels are actually, after 3 years, they're still pretty okay. They're not bad. The tires have a little wear in them now, and they are kind of wearing unevenly, so I'm just rotating them as best as I can. Tread is still pretty thick, and I would assume possibly 40 to 50,000 miles easily with these tires the way I'm driving it now. Mind you, I don't do any off-roading, any aggressive driving out in the rocks. The only thing I do is off-roading in terms of gravel and dirt when I'm camping. So I do that about once or twice a year, so not too bad on that front. Rubbing, I still get some rubbing on the tire, and the rubbing occurs on the front tires when I'm making a turn into kind of like a driveway or into like a large parking lot where it dips down before it comes back up. I would usually get slight rubbing, and if I have heavy load or a few passengers inside the vehicle, then I could really hear that rubbing. And when that happens, I just back off on the turn a bit. But that's still there. It's just something for you to be aware of. Now, in terms of reliability, I have had no complaints so far. I mean, so far the car has started up, has taken me to all the places that I wanted to go to. All the AC, the heater, the wipers, cruise control, power seats, power window, the utility, 120 volts outlet in the back. They all still work fine, no complaints at all. Headlights work fine, fog lights work fine, back LED lights all working. So no complaints on that front. And I just want to say in closing that this car is actually a great value. I paid around, I don't recall now, but I would say about 40,000. And the car has been able to take us to many, many places. I've taken this car to San Diego, to Los Angeles, to Santa Monica, San Francisco, the Bay Area, Big Sur, Monterey, Carmel, went down to Vegas for a weekend. Also, I've taken it to a few Bodega Bay camping trips. I'll take that back, Bodega Bay crabbing trips. Then, camping out in El Dorado Hills and multiple Tahoe hiking and chilling at the lake. So, I mean, I've taken this car all over the place. So far, I've had no complaints. I don't have the worriness of, hey, what if this car dies out here? So that's my 2 cents on my 3-year update. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments section below. Hopefully this video has given you an update of my ownership of the Toyota 2017 4Runner for the past 3 years. Anyhow, again, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments section below. And until next time, guys, take care.